In 7th grade, I looked through a microscope for the first time, and I saw a paramecium swimming around. And I was just fascinated. I never wanted to move from a microscope again. That was where I wanted to spend my life. I'm Jo Handelsman. I'm a microbiologist. It was just like that look of, huh? How does that fit together? And it was clearly girl science. Girls can't do that. When you ask kids to draw scientists, most will draw the same image. White, bald guy with a pointy beard, little glasses, and a white lab coat. And then when I was in 10th grade, I had a biology teacher, Mr. Postleone, and he convinced me that I could do science as a girl. And finally, when I got to graduate school, I started seeing role models in science, women who had done what I wanted to do. They'd become biologists, professors, they did research, and realized those two things can go together. You can be female and you can be a science professor. You don't have to look like those guys. The microbiome is a community of microorganisms associated with some environment, from the ocean to the soil to the human gut. And it's rapidly evolving science. We are beginning to understand the roles that they play in regulating our own health and our immune systems. Much of chronic disease is now being associated with changes in our microbiomes. Obesity, heart disease, asthma, the list is very extensive. If we can control those microbial communities, we can take enormous advantage of them. I was one of the science advisors for President Obama during the last 3 years of his administration.
Welcome to the White House Science Fair.
You're producing kinetic energy.
Yep.
He is a wonderful fan of science.
It's a prototype.
It's a prototype. This stuff's really cool.
It was the high point of his day, having a discussion about initiatives to change American science. Precision medicine is a science trying to figure out what's different between individual people that makes one person respond to a treatment and another person not. President Obama was personally committed to it.
Tonight I'm launching a new precision medicine initiative.
He was very excited about making this front and center of the future of American medicine.
The right treatment at the right time.
A bill was passed that had about $4.8 billion.
We can do this.
I think it's one of our most successful initiatives from my time at the White House. I was in the habit of giving President Obama stuffed microbes, and these were little miniature microorganisms that represented real microbes.
My new microbe, which one is this?
This one is cyanovic.
The very first one I gave him was of a streptococcus flesh-eating bacterium.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had a little knife and fork.
And one of the scientists was just totally baffled. Said, well, what are you going to do with it?
Well, I have my little collection.
It was quite an experience to work with him. One of the world's problems is that antibiotics that we have no longer work with many of our diseases, but industry has kind of lost interest. We're trying to rebuild that interest. Soil bacteria are these prolific producers of antibiotic activity. About 75% of the antibiotics in current use are from soil bacteria. There's some pretty good evidence that bacteria are producing antibiotics for sending messages to each other. And so we are just co-opting something that the bacteria are making to use as drugs for our own purposes. Small World is something that I started in 2012 to teach science through solving the world's problems with young, bright scientists in the classroom. And they would learn about science through culturing bacteria from soil for production of antibiotics. It's been a really extraordinary process to see all of the students and their instructors passionate about antibiotic discovery from soil. Above all, failure is okay. There are messages that are sent in science about failure that just shouldn't be sent. Failure is a part of science. It doesn't mean you're not good at it. It doesn't mean to stop. It just means to go back and do it again. I so often hear students say, oh, I'm not a science person. I always thought I was just sort of unfit for science, and I never knew why. And I'm sure part of it was just not seeing people who looked like me in science. We all bring these stereotypes and prejudices to our decisions about people, and it also means that we can all undo that. The future of science is so much brighter and stronger because there are more women and minorities and people of lots of different backgrounds, but it could be even stronger.